Chapter 1. Echo on Titan. Titan was silent, not the quiet of nature, but the silence of abandonment. Once a forward base for Earth's expansion into the outer solar system, the Concorde had sterilized it decades ago, erasing all traces of human presence. Or so they believed. Buried beneath 2 kilometers of methane ice, the vault still pulsed, once every 17 hours like a heartbeat. Its systems were old, pre-conquered, pre-exodus. It had slept through the fall, through the occupation, through the decades of silence, until today. A deep tremor shivered through the crust as a small seismic charge, nothing more than a scanner's ping, triggered an ancient failsafe. The vault came alive. Lights flickered in the dark. Power relays hummed. A single red diode turned green. And in a voice dry with dust and machine code, the AI spoke. Protocol 011 final. Authentication. Human extinction confirmed. Initiating last protocol. Above the surface, the Concorde surveyor droid continued its scan, oblivious to what it had awoken. Elsewhere, far above Titan's poisoned skies, a Concorde flagship drifted through orbit. Commander Thal Vex, a tall, silver-eyed praetor of the Concorde ascendancy, reviewed the scan data with clinical disinterest. Another dead rock, his adjutant muttered. Humans were never smart enough to hide anything useful out here. Vex narrowed his gaze. Their desperation made them unpredictable. Continued deep-range probes. Below, inside the vault, old machines began assembling. Not weapons, yet, but frameworks, exoshells, power cores, code libraries, memories. One chamber hissed open. Inside was a human, pale, preserved, a man. He gasped as oxygen flooded his lungs for the first time in 70 years. He coughed violently, then opened his eyes, gray, bloodshot, but burning with something ancient. Identify, the AI intoned. He rasped out, Major Elias Roque, Earth Strategic Command, clearance level Black 6. Confirmed. Welcome back, Major. Humanity is no longer detected on any conquered registry. This vault has been triggered under final extinction parameters. Shall I begin resistance protocol activation? Roque sat up, naked, shivering, and already remembering the last orders he'd received as Earth burned. Wait. Survive. Strike when forgotten. He looked around at the resurrection of old war tech. Familiar, brutal, and human-made. No, he said slowly. Don't start the protocol. The AI paused. Clarify, Major. He stood trembling, still regaining strength. I'll start it myself. Above Titan, the Concorde probe registered a new signal. Brief, encrypted, and archaic. A Terran frequency, one not heard in generations. Commander Vex frowned. What is that? Static anomaly, possibly geological. But Vex wasn't convinced. Send a scout. I want eyes on the surface. Far below, Major Elias Roque stepped into his armor. Scarred, matte black, covered in Terran insignia. His voice, low and cold, echoed inside the suit. Time to remind them what extinction really means. Chapter 2. The Ghost Signal. The drone broke atmosphere over Titan, its silver hull flaring briefly in the dense orange haze before stabilizing just above the icy plains. It hovered near the old human mining coordinates, scanning for the anomaly. Nothing. No heat, no radiation spike, no motion. But there was something else, barely detectable. A repeating pulse in ancient Terran code, masked as geological interference. The drone deployed microcrawlers and burrowed downward. It got 20 meters before the signal cut, and so did the drone's feed. On the Concorde flagship Ravager, alarms chirped. Commander Vex watched as the visual feed vanished into static. Drone lost, 'cause unknown. Vex stared at the screen. Show me the last telemetry. The display replayed the descent. On frame 28, just before blackout, a single image flickered. A shadow, vague and humanoid, amid swirling frost. And then a blink of red light in the shape of an ancient Terran helmet visor. Enhance. Reconstruct. His adjutant hesitated. Commander, that armor, Vex clenched his jaw. It's human. Beneath Titan's crust, Major Roque moved with mechanical precision. The vault's systems pulsed around him like veins waking in a corpse. He examined racks of hybrid weapons, mass drivers, EMP flechettes, plasma injectors, all sealed since Earth's final days. The armor's neural link synced again with his mind. He felt stronger, sharper. He didn't feel like a ghost anymore. Status, he muttered. 3 surface-level Concord scouts en route. Estimated arrival, 14 minutes. Vault security remains undetected. Good! He slammed a power cell into his weapon and slung it over his shoulder. Would you like to initiate drone production, Major? Number not yet. We stay shadows. At high orbit, 3 Concord drop pods launched from the Ravager, cutting down through Titan's skies like fangs. Inside, Varn-class recon troopers, cold, precise, cybernetically enhanced, prepped for surface breach. We'll find the source, the lead trooper said. If it's human, it won't last long. Roke crouched by the vault's primary uplink node, wiring in an encrypted burst beacon. He didn't want the galaxy to know he was awake. Not yet. Just one signal, one call. He tapped the old Terran symbol, Sigma Red. It meant one thing: return to war. Then he whispered into the beacon, to anyone left, we're not finished. The first drop pod landed with a dull thud. The troopers fanned out in the frost storm, weapons glowing dimly. One of them turned. Picking up a faint heat source, 30 meters east. They advanced. 30 meters east, behind a jagged ice ridge. Roke waited. He let them get close, let them lower their guard. Then he moved, silent, brutal. The first trooper died before he turned. The second fired too late. The third ran. Roke stood over the corpses, visor glowing. They don't remember fear, he said. Let's change that. Chapter 3, Sleeper's Fire. The surviving Concord scout sprinted through Titan's icy haze, boots crunching through methane frost, his breath fogging the air. Panic pulsed through his enhanced veins. His squad was dead. Not overwhelmed, erased. The report chattered over his comms. Concord Scout 3 to Ravager, hostile engagement confirmed. Unknown combatant, Terran pattern armor. Requesting extraction? Silence. Then, hold position. Commander Vex had heard enough. From orbit, Vex studied the terrain scans. One hostile, possibly 2. One dead drone. A Terran pulse beacon reactivated. This isn't a fluke. Could be old tech, his adjutant offered weakly. Vex's eyes narrowed. That drone's sensor suite was Concord Prime. Whatever this is, it killed it in one strike. He stepped closer to the command holomap. Send a fire team. Tactical exosuits. I want this ghost burned. In the vault below, Roke knelt in front of the ignition cradle, once meant to awaken others. Stasis pods lined the walls like tombs, each labeled with fading names. Soldiers, strategists, engineers, all sealed since Earth's final day. Most had flatlined long ago, but a few pulses still blinked faintly. Just a few. He stared at one. Lieutenant Anya Sorrell, Xenophysics, alive. 12% brain degradation. The AI chimed. Revival will be risky. Roke exhaled. So was extinction. Outside, the fire team landed. 6 Concord exo-warriors, bristling with energy rifles and pulse grenades, formed a tight perimeter and moved toward the signal's origin. Their helmets filtered the cold. Their eyes were machine-fed. Their mistake was expecting a battlefield. They found a graveyard. Roke was already above them, crouched on a cryo-cooling tower. As the lead warrior scanned the vault entrance, he dropped. The first impact shattered the exosuit's neck hydraulics. Sparks flew. The rest spun. Too late. Roke's shotgun boomed once, then again. He moved like a shadow through firelight, silent and precise. His armor absorbed glancing blows, and every counter was lethal. A blade through an armpit joint. A flash grenade ricocheted back. One trooper screamed before vanishing in smoke. Seconds passed, then silence. Only one remained. He dropped his weapon and raised both hands. Please, I'm not like them. Roke approached, visor glowing red. Then prove it, he growled. What do you know of Earth? The soldier swallowed. Only stories. My father said humans used to rule half the sector. Said we were monsters. But you, This tech, none of this was supposed to exist. It wasn't supposed to survive, Roke corrected, and then mercifully he let him run. In the vault's inner sanctum, Anya Sorel's stasis pod hissed open. Roke stood nearby, his gauntlet tapping data into her vitals. Her eyes fluttered open, dazed, then focused. "You're late," she rasped. He actually smiled. "Let's finish what we started." Above, Commander Vex received the fire team's telemetry, or what was left of it. Only one voice survived the final transmission. "He's awake. One man did this. He's not human. He's a relic." Vex turned from the screen. "No," he whispered. "He's a warning." Chapter 4, Fire in the Cold. The vault no longer slept. Its forges hissed molten breath. Old manufacturing arms sparked to life, shaping alloy plates, rebuilding warframes, recharging weapons untouched for nearly a century. Every relay sang a hymn to vengeance. Roke stood beside Anya as she adjusted her neural visor, her movements still slow but improving. Her armor was lighter, made for interface and tech war, but it carried the same Terran sigil, a broken sword wrapped in flame. "You sure you're ready?" he asked. She smirked faintly. "I didn't come back from brain death to play medic." High above Titan, conquered forces consolidated. Vex's flagship had grown teeth. 2 more destroyers entered orbit, their sleek hulls cutting against Saturn's light. Drones filled the upper atmosphere, a noose tightening. "Surface scans still show no major heat signatures," an officer said. "It's like the vault sealed itself again." "Good," Vex replied. "Let them think they're safe. We drop a seismic hammer, crack Titan open, and let them freeze in the dark." Inside the vault, Roke activated the signal scrambler. The facility disappeared from conquered sensors in seconds. "Strike's coming," he muttered. "They'll glass the surface to avoid another ground failure." Anya finished calibrating the last uplink tower. "Then we go first." She triggered the emitter. A cascade of frequencies blasted out in ancient Terran codes, encoded beacons across the stars. To any surviving human class nodes. Last protocol engaged. Roke alive. Initiate Exodus fire. They didn't know who, if anyone, would hear it, but it was the spark. The surface cracked beneath Concord's first seismic charge. It detonated with a low, grinding rumble. Glacial ridges buckled. The terrain shimmered. And then, without warning, retaliation. Roke's buried artillery woke with thunder. From disguised ice spires, mass drivers launched kinetic shells upward. They tore into the lead Concorde destroyer's hull, slicing decks like paper. Plasma fire erupted in zero-G silence. Inside the vault, Anya grinned. "Forgotten tech, huh?" Roke chambered a fresh slug. "They forgot us? Not our reach." Vex watched the destruction unfold from the Ravager's command deck. Alarms screamed. One destroyer gone, another limping. Dozens of drones down by rail bursts from under the ice. He stared in disbelief. "This was a tomb world," he whispered. "No signals, no satellites. How did they—" The officer turned. "Commander, we just intercepted a burst across 6 Concorde sectors. From Titan? Number from everywhere. Across the galaxy, in derelict stations and asteroid vaults, ancient Terran machines awoke. Red lights blinked. Code unraveled. Weapons systems recharged. Buried legions stirred in cryosleep. From the ruins of the outer colonies to the forgotten bunkers on Europa, one phrase echoed, "The last protocol is live." Roke and Anya stood on Titan's surface, watching the debris of the fallen Concorde ship burn through the sky. She leaned toward him. "What now?" Roke's voice was cold and certain. "Now we make them remember who we were." Torah Chapter 5, The Broken Flame. Anya's hands trembled as she slid the neural interface into the vault's central relay. A second ago, she'd been syncing data. Now she was downloading an entire ghost. "It's not just schematics," she breathed. "This vault stored war memories, actual combat AI logs, even human brain maps from frontline strategists." Roke nodded grimly. "That's how we won before, and how we'll win again." The memory cores housed broken minds, soldiers who died with rage still burning, tacticians who never surrendered, and AIs that had learned from 1,000 dead wars. Anya began patching them into command matrices across the system. Feels like I'm plugging my brain into a graveyard, she muttered. It is, Roke replied, but it's our graveyard. On the far side of Titan's orbit, a Concorde stealth frigate monitored the ruins of their fallen fleet. Aboard, the surviving scout, scarred, shaken, watched a playback of Roke tearing through his fire team. The officer debriefing him leaned in. You said one man did this? The scout nodded. He moved like he'd fought this war 1,000 times, and he wasn't alone anymore. Reinforcements? No, he swallowed. Legacy. The officer turned to his console. Relay that word to command. Full sector escalation. Humanity isn't extinct. They were sleeping. Back in the vault, the power grid surged. Multiple pings, Anya whispered. Other Terran vaults just responded. Outposts in the Kuiper Belt, old orbital rigs on Io. One of them's routing us in AI from Phobos. Roke's expression tightened. How long till we're ready to leave? Hours if you want stealth. Minutes if you want noise. Roke locked his armor's final plate into place. We are the noise. The vault's hangar doors screamed as they parted for the first time in 70 years. Inside sat a relic older than Concorde itself, a human tactical carrier, patched in ghost steel and Terran war sigils, repowered by the vault's fusion core. Anya stared. The Vanguard class? Roke climbed the ramp. Built to drop into hell and walk out again? As the engines rumbled to life, Roke sent one last encrypted broadcast. To all surviving Terran minds, this is Major Elias Roke. You were not forgotten. You were hidden. We are not rebuilding. We are reclaiming. On Earth, now a conquered pleasure world, deep beneath the marble towers and false peace, an old satellite blinked. It hadn't powered on in generations. It hadn't needed to, until now. It rotated slowly, targeting old Terran coordinates. The last protocol had reached home. As the Vanguard lifted from Titan, the vault detonated behind it, erasing all trace of its presence. Not out of fear, out of strategy, no fallback, no retreat, no second awakening. This was it. Anya sat beside Roke in the cockpit. We have relays across half the system. If even a third of them respond, they'll respond, he said. They were built for this. She looked ahead at the stars. So, what's our next target? Roke smiled beneath his visor. Earth. Chapter 6. Return, Burn. The Vanguard slipped through the black between Saturn and Earth like a spear wrapped in silence. No IFF tags, no signals. Just heat signatures masked by asteroid drift and cloaking plates decades ahead of Concorde scans. Inside, Anya monitored the AI mesh they'd reawaken. 16 vaults confirmed, she said. 3 active fleets. Europa's rig has launched atmospheric disruptors. Luna's dark side cannon is charging. Roke stood beside her, silent, armored, watching the solar map fill with red icons blinking to life. Everyone was Terran. It wasn't just a rebellion now, it was a resurrection. On Earth, Commander Vex stood in the Concorde Citadel in what used to be Geneva, now restructured into crystalline spires and holographic arcologies. Conquered citizens, tall, elegant, genetically edited, moved like dancers through sterile perfection. But Vex's eyes weren't on them. He stared into a hologram of the solar system, where red dots now peppered Concorde-controlled zones. The human signal, Sigma Red, was everywhere. Why didn't we erase them properly, he snarled. His adjutant paled. They must have seeded fallback systems, deep ones, beyond our network's reach. Then we burn the planet again, Vex growled. No humans, no memory. He didn't notice the satellite feed blink for a second, just one flicker, then vanish. The Vanguard entered Earth's orbit masked by solar interference. Anya adjusted thruster vectors for the drop. Concorde's orbital grid is denser than expected. We don't need to survive the drop, Roke said. Just deliver the payload. The payload wasn't a bomb. It was a memory. Anya initiated the burn. The ship tore through the upper atmosphere, fire washing over its hull. Concorde defenses lit up. Railguns, beam interceptors, AI-piloted strike crafts. The Vanguard flared brighter, then dimmed. It vanished from scans. It dove too fast to track, and it hit. The shockwave rippled through Geneva's outer district, But the payload survived, buried beneath the surface. A data core, a signal key. It detonated, not with fire, but with memory. Every conquered system across Earth lit up with ghost code. Human histories, battle records, rebel voices, nursery rhymes, command orders, screams of Earth's fall, all of it, unfiltered, unforgiving. Across the planet, conquered citizens dropped to their knees as human emotion hit them like radiation. Their neural implants shorted under the surge. Towers blinked out, skies darkened, and above it all, Roke's voice, embedded in the pulse, echoed, "You erased our past. Now live it." Deep beneath the citadel, Vex reeled from the impact of the psychic surge. His visor cracked, blood trickled from his nose. Around him, command systems spiraled into chaos. He snarled and slammed a fist on the console. "Kill them! Kill everything!" But Earth's grid no longer obeyed him. It obeyed the signal. Above the chaos from a decoupled drop module, Roke and Anya parachuted silently into the dead zone outside Geneva. Anya touched ground and whispered, "Welcome home." Roke didn't respond. His eyes were on the tower ahead, where it all ended, where it would begin again. Chapter 7, The Last Protocol. The ruins of old Geneva burned. Crystalline spires cracked under failing conquered power grids. Synthetic skies flickered to black. High above, orbital satellites fell one by one, gutted by Terran sleeper code. Roke moved through the wreckage like a revenant. His armor, scarred and soot-streaked, bled faint light through its joints. Beside him, Anya's visor fed real-time intrusion paths into the Citadel's control core. "We'll have one shot," she said. "After that, their security nets go fully adaptive. That's all we'll need." They ran. Inside the Citadel, Commander Vex tore through glitching holograms. The war was no longer on screens. It was in the walls. Doors refused his access. Gun turrets turned off. Communications crackled with human code. And now they were here. An alert blinked. Unauthorized breach. Inner core. He drew his weapon and headed down. Roke breached the central atrium with a blast from his shoulder cannon. The doors buckled and the air filled with fire. Concord sentinels rushed in, firing sleek blue beams. Roke charged into them like thunder. Bullets screamed. Anya ducked behind cover, uplinked to a fallen Concord console, rerouting every signal she could grab. "Systems collapsing," she called. "You've got 30 seconds to reach the core." Roke didn't answer. He moved. 2 more sentinels fell, then the last. He kicked through the final door, and there he was, Commander Vex. Vex stood tall, his weapon glowing with unstable fusion light. "So this is what crawled out of Earth's grave," he sneered. Roke stepped forward, faceplate split to reveal tired human eyes. "You tried to erase us. We became fire." Vex raised his gun. "Then burn." He fired. Roke rolled, heat searing his shoulder. He lunged in a blur, grappled Vex, drove him into the floor. The gun skidded away. They fought like the end had already happened. Punches, blood, shattered bone. 2 species, 2 visions, but only one was home. Roke pinned him. "This isn't vengeance," he growled. "It's reminder." And with that, he slammed the activation key into the core. Across Earth, buried nodes ignited. Every Terran vault, every AI fragment, every ghost protocol merged into one final act. Last protocol, planetary override initiated. Skies lit with red sigils. Concord code unraveled. Human architecture reformed itself from under the cities. Machines once buried now rose. The planet woke up. Anya limped into the atrium as Vex gasped on the ground. "Is it done?" she asked. Roke turned to her. "Earth remembers." 1 week later, human banners flew over Earth, not flags of conquest, of return. The Terran signal echoed across the stars. Not a threat, not a plea, a promise. We are not the forgotten, we are the flame, and we are coming home.